So today we're going to look at inventions of the Industrial Revolution. We've already talked about the Industrial Revolution, and we know that it was a really important period of time in American history, and really throughout the world, and helped to improve our technology significantly. But what I want you to keep in mind while we're going through this is this guiding question. Which of the major inventions of the Industrial Revolution is most important to your everyday life, and why? Okay, so we're going to look at 5 of these major inventions, and as we're looking at these 5, I want you to keep this question in mind. How are you using these inventions in 2013? So the first of the inventions is the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell is the inventor who's given credit for the telephone. There were many others who helped out along the way, and you're going to see that's a common theme in a lot of these inventions, that they were step-by-step processes. The telephone really helped to improve communication between individuals and between businesses who were before using the telegraph or the Morse code. Those were very rudimentary versions of communication. They were expensive to send and oftentimes had word limits. So this telephone really helped things out. And just a little trivia for you. The first answering machine wasn't invented until 1935. So you didn't have any way to screen your phone calls until, well, almost 100 years after the telephone was invented. The second invention is the sewing machine. Isaac Singer is given the credit for the sewing machine, but once again, there were a couple of names that were associated with it. Isaac Singer is the most famous. You should recognize his name. There are Singer sewing machines that are still around today. What the sewing machine did, it provided a huge boost for the textile industry. And we know that the textile industry was really important in North Carolina because we had all of this cotton farming going on. So with that boost to the textile industry, ready-to-wear clothes were produced for the first time in history. So before this point, we had hand-sewn clothes. And those hand-sewn clothes you had to wear repeatedly because they were expensive, they were hard to come by, it took a long time to make them. So this sewing machine allowed us to have different clothes to wear throughout the week or even throughout the day. Like I said earlier, this is one of the major patent battles in history. So one of the big battles over who should get credit for that idea. And like I said, Singer came out on top. The mechanical reaper is the third invention. And we talked a little bit about the mechanical reaper when we were talking about the Civil War. We know that Cyrus McCormick was the major inventor of the mechanical reaper. What the mechanical reaper did was that it made farming easier, especially for farmers of grains, things that you might see in breads. Before this point, we were using a tool that looked similar to this. It was just a big blade. You had to swing that blade in order to cut down all of your grains. It was a very time-consuming, very labor-intensive process. After we made a mechanical version of that, it really helped us to produce extra goods, which is going to go down to this point. Farmers went from being sustenance farmers, meaning that they were farming just to feed their families, to having a surplus. So they were able to make more money off of their crops with this invention. Okay? They were able to ship those goods throughout the United States and then even throughout the globe as we have more and more shipping. The fourth invention is the Model T, or the assembly line. And Henry Ford is responsible for both of these. Okay, the Model T Ford was one of the first affordable cars in American history. Okay, and he was able to make that car so affordable because he used the assembly line to create it. Okay, the assembly line is still used today to produce a lot of goods that we use in our households. Model Ts cost about $250, so it was very affordable for your middle-class family in the United States. And then there were over 15 million of these on the road. Okay, it was not a luxurious car, not anything that was super safe, but it was a good method of transportation for families who could not afford to have cars before the Model T. And then the last invention is the light bulb. And just like some of these other things that you looked at, the light bulb went through various stages. Thomas Edison is the person who is given the credit for having the light bulb or creating the light bulb as we know it today, also called the incandescent light bulb. Okay, this light bulb burned bright enough so that people could use it at night to extend their day so that they could read, have discussions, whatever. It lasted up to 40 hours. So it's one of the first light bulbs that really made sense to have in households. Edison had close to 1,100 patents. So he is one of the most famous inventors of his time, and still today is considered to be a really famous inventor. Okay, so I want you to think about those 5 inventions, how you're still using them today, and what you think is the most important important invention in your life currently. Think about that tonight after you write these notes down, and then report back to me tomorrow. Have a great one.